sister, best you come with me.
Hey y'all, my name is Mariah Emerson. I'm founder of Herbalism. We're a holistic wellness business and an apothecary with a mission to bring wellness back home. So for me, that's all about having conversations like the one we're gonna have today, of looping people back in, bringing them into a conscious remembering. I truly don't believe that there's anything that I say that you don't inherently already know. I'm just reminding you. And so today we're gonna talk a little bit about the practice of smudging. Smudging is one of my favorite ritualistic practices, and it's so connected to, I guess, the work that Divine is doing, because Divine is all about having conversations around spirituality and divinity, and smudging is one of the most archaic and oldest ways of inviting spirituality and divinity into your space. So when you smudge, you're literally working with plant medicine to burn the plant and allow the plant's energetic properties to be released via smoke. When you finish smudging your space, you're just going to really bask in that energy of whatever the plant that you utilized released. It's really important that you have an understanding of the properties of what you're smudging. So for example, rosemary has very uplifting properties. I already said that for me, these smudge sticks are a strong connection to the ancestors because of the connection of Black lineage and people growing rosemary trees and working with rosemary over time. Rosemary has kind of like a sativa effect, so it was very uplifting, and I really like to smudge with it whenever I'm creating content like I'm doing right now, or whenever I'm doing work for Herbology, or really just need that boost of like supportive energy. Have a really honest conversation about the use of some tools that are really popularized these days for smudging. I'm talking about Palo Santo and sage. I know it smells amazing. I know you feel the intense connection, and I know that everyone's using it on social media. But there's something that I really have to tell you, and it's that any tool that you're going to bring into your spiritual or your emotional or just wellness practice needs to be in right relation with the earth and the earth's people. Palo Santo and sage are both on the endangered species list because of over-pillaging and capitalization of both of those sacred medicines. They have been utilized by indigenous peoples for a very long time, way before they became hashtags. And because now you can purchase Palo Santo and sage in Whole Foods, you can purchase Palo Santo and sage in Urban Outfitters, you can purchase it in pretty much any space that sells spiritual tools. And although these plants are extremely important and powerful, they are now being overused to the point where the indigenous peoples who've been working with this plant medicine for centuries are now losing access to it. Also, this overpillaging is harming the land to a place where they're pulling the medicine so much that the earth is unable to regenerate and be able to yield more Palo Santo and sage in the way that it has in the past. The news is that although we are stepping away from utilizing plant medicine like Palo Santo and sage as we've known it previously, there's a huge opportunity for us to connect with plant medicine that is important to our lineage, our people, our healing journey, in a way that is not appropriating the culture and appropriating the land. So I invite you to do your research and learn about other plant medicines that you can utilize in your smudging rituals, like mugwort, lavender stems, rosemary, yerba santa, frankincense, myrrh. Learn about these plants. Learn if you have any connection to them from a lineage perspective. Learn how they're being produced and cultivated right now, and allow that to guide you. So now that we've talked a little bit about being in right relation to plant medicine and the earth, when you're interacting with smudge tools, I want to talk to you a little bit more about creating your own smudge sticks. So I recommend that you start with fresh herbs when you're building your own smudge sticks. You're gonna lay your fresh herb down and configure it in the way that you want your smudge stick to look and feel. For me, I laid down lavender stems, rosemary stems, and rose petals. Once you do that, you're gonna get some string and you're gonna wrap your string around your smudge stick in a crisscross fashion. Create a loop at the end of the string, at the end of the smudge stick rather, and hang your smudge stick from fresh for about 2 weeks. And once you do that, you'll see over time that your herbs will start to dry out, your smudge stick will start to become more compact, and after a couple of weeks' time, you'll have your smudge stick. I want to give major shout outs and so much gratitude and love to the Divine team and the Hot Wheelz team for creating space for me to have this conversation with you all. I really love that the collective is just coming into our spiritual center. We are radically reimagining what and how we show up in this world and in this dimension. And I feel like that is so beautiful, and yet still we are part of a capitalist system by nature. And oftentimes we see capitalism and supremacy seep itself into the wellness world, into the spiritual world, to a point where it removes us from our level of consciousness when we're interacting as a consumer. And so I don't say any of this to impose any shame or to tell people Palo Santo and sage are bad, or even to say that I don't have Palo Santo or sage in my apothecary right now. What I will tell you is that the Palo Santo and sage that I have to this date is the same Palo Santo and sage that I promised myself would be my last purchase, and that I would reserve the use of my Palo Santo and sage for very sacred ceremonies, just in respect for the fact that I don't intend to purchase it anymore unless I'm cultivating it myself. That is not something that is within my capacity right now. But if you have the capacity to grow your own white sage, for example, feel free to do that. I also want to give an opportunity to say that you should be supporting Indigenous peoples beyond utilizing their medicines for your own spiritual practice. We're all so connected, and so the respect that we pay to the entire BIPOC community and being in right relation with one another is so important. I also don't want to dismiss the fact that there is indigeneity in so many of us, especially Black and brown people. And so if you find yourself trying to traverse, how do I be in right relation to Palo Santo and sage and the medicines with my own levels of indigeneity and my own connections to my own indigenous culture, I would say that is an opportunity for you to think about how this makes you feel energetically now that you have this knowledge. You know, how can you move forward in a way that's still in right relation with the earth, but is also in alignment with your lineage and your spiritual journey? This is not to police or to demean anybody for utilizing plant medicines like Palo Santo and sage. They're both beautiful medicines, and I want to see a world where they're continuing to grow and flourish, and where the people can work with these medicines along their spiritual journey. But I really wanted to let you all know that those are not the only herbs that you can smudge your home with. And that is really exciting because it gives us an opportunity to be really creative about the way that we cleanse our space and hold our space. Option of something that you can utilize to smudge your space is Herbology Sacred Smoke. So this smoke blend is actually something that you can roll up, smoke on its own, smoke with cannabis, smoke with tobacco, But you can also burn it as a smudge. And the way that you would do that is just to put it on a charcoal dish and allow it to burn. And then you'll put the sacred smoke inside of the charcoal disc, and you'll allow the charcoal disc to resonate the scent, the smoke. And once that happens, all you'll do is take your hand and you'll waft the smoke around the space, and you'll repeat whatever mantras or words that are life-giving to yourself and your space in that time.